Thank you. Always good to go last, right? So, a little bit about me, a little bit about the campaign, and then I'll close on just some points that I think everyone should be aware of. I was born and raised in Santa Cruz. I'm 30 years old. 31 and on the 15th of November, so almost there, right? I was born and raised here, so I have a tremendous connection to the town and the people that live here in general. I will be the first African American ever elected onto the city council, if elected, and that kind of says something about the representation that exists within local politics. Ever since day one of deciding to run for a seat on the city council, it has been predominantly with the goal of increasing representation. So increasing representation of youth, people of color, students, the LGBTQ community, working class individuals, the houseless, individuals that are predominantly or traditionally marginalized or stigmatized from the mainstream of society and left to kind of fend for themselves. I was at the farmer's market on Wednesday dropping off some materials, and there was a woman working at an AT&T booth or a PG&E booth next to me, and she was asking me to clarify because there is a lot. If you look at the literature between all of the different candidates that are up here, there is a lot of similar terms, right? A lot of, as Chris put it, sound bites. Verbiage, right? And so what I would encourage individuals to do is to look at the language that's being used on the individual slates and then look at that versus the slate values and decisions that have been made leading up till now. Specifically, with Mayor Matthews being on the other slate, looking at the track record of how Santa Cruz has been structured over the last 8 to 10 years and the influence that she's had on that and whether or not that's something we want to continue moving forward. In addition to that, with representation also comes the need, as has been mentioned before, with housing, transportation, sustainability and developments. One thing I heard up here was working with communities is something that someone's really proud of, right? If you go and talk to communities, they do not feel listened to or heard. Nate said that he feels that when he goes and speaks to the city council that he's been going to for such a long time, it's like talking to a wall. So when someone says that they do something, it's really important that you look back at their track record as to whether they actually do it or not. Other things, holistic, sustainable, these are all intention, going into with the intention. The goal of what we want to do is to make things happen, right? Be concise and focused, not wishy-washy and maybe this will happen at some point in the future. People brought up things about endorsements. The Monterey Bay Central Labor Council, the Sheet Metal Workers Union, the Operation Engineers No. 3, the Building and Construction Trades Council, the UCSC Graduate Students Association, the Sierra Club, Bike Santa Cruz County, Santa Cruz for Bernie, and the People's Democratic Club are all the ones that have endorsed myself, and 3 out of the 4 of us were endorsed by the SCIU 521. Those are working class individuals. They're not the developers that can be found on the donation list. I would encourage everyone to go and dissect the 460s of the different candidates that are up here. Martine Watkins has money from the Canfields and the Seaside Company. As I had mentioned before, the Baskin Law Firm going with Matthews. Robert Singleton, his #1 contributors are real estate and development organizations. So we have to ask ourselves, what are we trying to do in this historic moment where Bernie Sanders laid this flooring for us to be able to move in and transform local government to be more progressive and inclusive? So I encourage you to vote for me and the brand new council.
Thank you.
Thanks.